God. Going too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh, no.
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are taking a look at ships. Yes, I have enjoyed my break from ships, and I've enjoyed even more coming back into the game, remembering little things that I really enjoy about the game, but also these new cruisers. Now, as you all know, I am an avid cruiser captain, really enjoy my cruisers, so I was very excited when these French cruisers came out. I have been excited for them for quite some time, not that I knew any, special information about them before they came out, or had any insider information or anything like that. I didn't. And if I did, I wouldn't share it, obviously, but, but I didn't. But I was incredibly excited to see the French cruisers. Now, the reason why I was so excited for the French cruisers has nothing to do with their performance in game or my expected or their expected performance in game or anything like that. Just simply from a historical standpoint, I wanted to see these French cruisers in full-on 3D models with their all their little details and stuff, because looking through historical photos and whatnot, you don't get to see a whole lot of the French Navy during World War II while the war was going on, right? Because obviously Germany took over France, and the majority of the French Navy found itself anchored in port, and then eventually the Navy itself was basically destroyed. Like, a lot of the capital ships were by the British and the Americans, or they were just scuttled by their own crew, less, falling to the hands of the Germans. So, didn't get to see a whole lot. Kind of the same situation with the Japanese ships, where they just got destroyed outright. You didn't get to see a whole lot of pictures of them, but anyway, very happy to have them. So we're in the tier 5 French cruiser. I'm going to try and say it here. I think it's the Emile Bertin. Now, I do speak some French, but my French is not very good, so I'm not 100% sure if that is Emily or Emile. Emily, of course, would be a female name, and I think it's Emile or something like that, because it's masculine, but whatever. So we're in this ship now. What does the tier 5 French cruiser have going for it? She has a few things going for her. I really enjoy the guns. The guns on the ship are not as fast firing as, say, the Königsberg, and they don't have as far of a range as the Königsberg. I believe 14.5 kilometers is your range here at the tier 5 level. But what she does have going for her, the guns, I think, I really should have looked before I started recording this, but whatever. I think the guns are of a higher caliber on this French cruiser than that of the Königsberg. So if I were to rate the best cruiser at tier 5 in the game, my personal opinion is that it's the Königsberg at tier 5. That is a great cruiser at tier 5. Now, coming in close second now, you're looking at the French cruiser right here. The other cruisers below it, I don't think are as good. The Minskatir, is it the Minsk? Kirov at tier 5, the Russian cruiser. Yeah, she's decent, but I don't like her because she doesn't have as good of a fire rate, nor does she have as good of a turret traverse speed, which is something that this French cruiser at tier 5 has, and it works really well. The Omaha, I never enjoyed the Omaha. The Romansk, yeah, whatever. What else? The Furataka, not so much. The Furataka has high caliber guns, which is nice. I think they're 203, but the turrets turn very, very slow, and the rate of fire is also incredibly slow, so not so great. So I think that this cruiser here would sit at a nice second overall spot, at least in my own opinion. The special thing that the French cruisers have going for them is speed. Now, at tier 5, you do not get the speed boost, but you do at tier 6. At tier 5, though, it's not necessarily that big of a deal. I do still find the cruiser herself to be sufficiently fast to do what I want her to do, and to perform the way that I want her to perform, which is quite enjoyable. It's not a situation where, I wish that the turrets would just turn a little bit faster. No, the turrets turn pretty damn good, in my opinion. Now, In the battle that we have going on, I got quite lucky here in that the ships that we're facing off against are all tier 4 and tier 5. You can see a tier 4 Miyogi there off in the distance. I felt sad for this player off in the distance, actually. Not only is he from my old clan NGA, but the player chose to go in reverse for a little while and then to go forward, and you'll see how the battle progresses. It doesn't go very well for that individual, but whatever. My team, in the meantime, I didn't really have high hopes for. You can take a look at the ships the enemy team has remaining versus the ships that I have remaining, and I didn't think things were going to end very, very well at all. And in fact, I've abandoned my push up there in the north, and I'm now heading for B, because at the very least, I figure where my team has a southern cap, if I can get into B, we'll at least have 2 caps, and maybe we might get a victory out of this. Now, I have 2 enemy ships in the B cap zone to deal with. I've got a V-150, the German tier 4 destroyer, and then I've got this tier 4 French cruiser as well. Now, worth noting that I have not played the tier 3 or the tier 4 French cruisers. I skipped right to tier 5 and then started to grind from tier 5 upwards. But I suspect that the tier 4 and the tier 3 French cruisers are probably pretty good as well, considering they get their own double-mounted turrets, which is not something that you see in a tier 4 or a tier 3 cruiser. These would be the only cruisers in the game currently to have this feature, so I think that they would perform very well. At tier 4, my go-to cruiser is Akuma. That might change. We do get the kill there on the V-150 with a lucky torpedo shot, which is fantastic, and brings us to the next point of the this cruiser. She has torpedoes. They go 9 kilometers. I was quite surprised when I found this out, because 9 kilometers is a fantastic range for a cruiser to have. On top of this, these French cruisers have excellent torpedo firing arcs. Basically, it's 180 degrees either side of your ship. Now, not quite 180 degrees. We saw the arcs there momentarily. Not quite 180 degrees, but very, very, very close. And it makes for excellent makes for an excellent opportunity to get torpedoes off when maybe you wouldn't be able to in other ships. Now, you can see as well that in this match I have been working on switching between high explosive and my armor piercing. The armor piercing are nice when you're close in and you have a nice, lightly armored cruiser next to you. Armor piercing is the way to go. They will destroy things. But, fairly standard, as most things are. When an enemy ship is bow on or stern onto you, you're best to go with your high explosive. You'll still do good damage, and plus you have the opportunity to catch an enemy ship on fire. So we did manage to take out the 2 enemy ships here at B, so now it's just a matter of circling back into B and start capping this point. We can see that we still have our friend in the Miyogi over there. Again, it's questionable. Very questionable. But you can see that the enemies up here in the north are pretty much closing in on my allies, right? We just lost another allied ship. In fact, I only have 5 allied ships remaining, and we've only sunk 5 enemy ships. So we have a bit of work here to do ahead of us, but I was up for the challenge. I had been playing this Tier 5 cruiser for a little while, so when I recorded this, I think this might have been on Sunday or Saturday, a few days ago. So I'd, gotten myself comfortable with her and was fairly confident in my ability in the ship and the ship's ability itself, so I was feeling pretty good. So we do manage to get a few shots off to that enemy Mitsuki over there. Freaked me out at first when I saw the Mitsuki. I was like, what are you doing here? You were supposed to be at tier 6, but no, just me being crazy. We have an Isokaze here off in the distance. Now the Isokaze is slowing down and not firing at me, so I was quite concerned over incoming torpedoes. I do not have my acoustic sonar ability up because it is on cooldown right now, just came off cooldown, so I could have launched it off there, but I get real lucky with the incoming torpedoes. Only 2 of them, and I managed to avoid them and get the kill on the Isokaze. Fantastic. There is another tier 4 French cruiser. She's coming at me, not quite broadside, so I'm going to keep, I am going to switch over to my armor piercing because she's fairly close and see if she does turn. If not, I do have my high explosive queued up ready to go, and in fact the enemy does decide to turn, which is a bit of a mistake for the player. My shots go in, double citadel, and manage to take down the enemy ship. Fantastic. So we still have our 5 allied ships remaining, and now the enemy is also down to 5 ships as well. The key point here, though, at this point in time, is that the enemy does have more battleships available to them than we do, and the ships that they have remaining are on a lot higher health than what we've got going on. So we're going to try and work with this. We're going to try and take down some more enemy ships and see if we can't get ourselves a nice little victory out of this game. We see the enemy Omaha there off in the distance, so I'm going to launch some shots off at the player and try and do a bit of damage here while I get myself back into position into B to actually cap the point. And you can see that I've been employing something that we've talked about a lot on the channel, in that I'm not going to kill myself trying to get the point, right? I did have the opportunity to get the point, but it was a little hectic. Wasn't able to do it without taking a lot of damage, especially considering this Congo was on its way in, so got myself out of there. Now I'm working my way back into the cap in hopes of capping it out. So we have some tense times coming up here. We do see the enemy Myogi, we've got the enemy Congo, and I think it's another enemy cruiser that we have here as well. We can see that I am being targeted as well by one of the enemies, so need to be aware of this, right? We have some fire coming in from the smoke over there, and that is the enemy Omaha getting into some of my allied smoke, so I do need to be aware of this player as well. Managed to get a fire set, and that's really my goal here, is to get fire set on enemy ships, right? I've already got one going on the Myogi. If I can get one going on someone else, that would be all the better. We can see the enemy cruiser that is remaining is another French cruiser. Torpedoes are on their way in, takes out the French cruiser. Perfect. We are about to capture the B point. There we go indeed. And now we have the enemy Omaha here in front of us. So I have my high explosive loaded up, and I was thinking, you know, Thotgor, maybe you should really be switching over to your armor piercing, especially considering it looks like the Omaha is going to ground herself. And yes, the Omaha does go ahead and ground herself. Now it's just scraping the bottom here, so the ship is still moving forward, and I am still firing my high explosive. Now I do get myself a nice Confederate medal out of this, so it's not too bad. We're doing okay, even if we do end up losing this game. Yeah, whatever. 3 enemy ships remaining versus my 3 remaining as well. One of the ships I have remaining is a Kamikaze R. Excuse me. And that should be something that's fairly scary to the enemies, because the Kamikaze R was one of, yeah, I think the Kamikaze R and the Fujin were not touched in terms of the changes to the Japanese destroyers, and they are still the same old amazing torpedo boats that we know and love. Anyway, get some more shots off to the enemy Myogi, and I am sailing in a circle here, right, trying to avoid any incoming fire, because you got to keep in mind, even though we're at tier 5 and this is a decent cruiser, she doesn't have that much armor. When the French were designing the cruiser, they designed it for as much speed as they possibly could with the highest caliber of guns, and in order to accomplish that, they had to give up some armor to make up for faster speeds. Omaha over here is almost dead, and I think that I'm sitting on 4 kills right now, so if I do manage to take out the Omaha, I will get myself a nice little Kraken, which is pretty damn decent, I think. So there we go, the enemy Omaha goes down, and I do manage to get myself the Kraken. We still have the enemy Congo remaining, as well as the enemy Myogi. We can see the enemy Myogi over there. I had torpedoes on the way from the Myogi, but it doesn't look like those are going to hit. But again, 9-kilometer torpedoes on these things, very, very nice. You'll notice as well, at the tier 5, you do get yourself a fighter plane that you can launch off the deck of your ship, and the fighter plane is pretty useful. But at tier 6, you are going to lose the fighter plane in lieu of the boost ability. Now I have since gone ahead and gotten my tier 6 French cruiser. I have not played her as of yet, although I do look forward to doing that, taking her out and seeing. Now basically the tier 6 is almost the same as the tier 5 cruiser. I think the tier 6 cruiser might be a little bigger, but more importantly, you get that boost ability. So I have the Congo here, bow on to me, and always important to note when a ship like this is bow on, if you can see, my first salvo goes in there and lands on the deck of the ship, but majority of those shells landed right on top of the turrets. You're not going to end up doing a whole lot of damage if you fire this way. What you want to aim for is the conning tower, the large tower that, you know, protrudes from the ship and has a bridge on it and all that. That is what you want to aim for, the superstructure, so that your shots can go in and catch that stuff on fire. It's a whole lot less armored than the turrets themselves. So if you're able to aim for it, you definitely want to try and do that. Now I do manage to get a fire on the Congo, which is not too bad at all. I'm sitting on about 93,000 damage, so I was quite surprised to see these damage numbers start coming in. And with the Congo on fire, you can see my damage does continue to increase. There we go. The enemy Myogi is gone. Now we only have to deal with the enemy Congo. In the meantime, I've got myself up here to the north cap zone to start capping this out in an attempt to maintain the 2 cap advantage, right? You can see the Congo is now in the B zone and capping it. And at this point in time in the battle, with only three allied ships, including myself, remaining, I wasn't willing to go take on the enemy Congo point blank. It just didn't make sense. At the very least, I need to cap this point, and then maybe I can go ahead and take on the Congo, but not until the point is capped. I really need this point. I know we have a pretty healthy lead, but that Congo could definitely one-shot me, and I think there's another one of my allies here as well, as I'm pretty low health. That could be one-shotted as well. So you do see I managed to get myself a nice high caliber medal with about 97,000 damage dealt. Not too bad. And I do have the point basically capped. We're going to slow down our ship. We're going to turn a little to starboard to make sure I don't drift out of the point. There we go. It's capped. We'll bring her back up to full speed. And now I can go ahead and basically charge the Congo. The plan here, as is the majority of the time when you're charging anything in a cruiser, is to keep bow on, which is nice, because if you recall earlier in the video I said, in my opinion, the Königsberg was the best cruiser at tier 5, with this cruiser coming in as a close second. Now obviously one of the main differences between the Königsberg and this cruiser is that this cruiser has the 2 main batteries on the bow of the ship and 1 on the stern, whereas it's the reverse on the Königsberg. So that means with this ship it is, I'm not going to say better, but maybe easier to sail straight on to someone, present as small a target as possible while getting your guns off on that player. A little easier in this one. In the Königsberg, it's a lot easier to run away from a target than it is to charge a target, and it's the opposite that you get with this French cruiser. Fairly easy to dodge the incoming shots from the Congo. The Congo doesn't have great accuracy to begin with, plus we're at the tier 5, so the dispersion's a little good to deal with as well. But what I always like to do is just to wait to see those first salvos come out, to see how well the player has aimed, and then try to avoid those shots as they're coming in, taking as little as possible. So we get a few hits there on the Congo, leave the Congo on very low health indeed. I'm hoping to get a 6th kill is what I'm trying to do here, just, you know, feather in my hat, but just not able to do it. You can see more shots go in, do a bit of damage, but then we have some of my allied shots come in to finish off the Congo, and battle is over. So all in all, with my experiences so far with French cruisers, I really enjoy them. Now, granted, I don't have, like, you know, I'm only at the tier 6 mark and I haven't even sailed her out yet, but I'm still pretty excited about them. 102,000 damage dealt, Confederate, Kraken, devastating strike with the high caliber. I got the 5 kills overall. When all is said and done, I do finish with over 2,000 base experience, which is always nice to see. Top of the team overall, and I think I am well over double the highest earning player of the enemy team, which isn't too bad. We can see a little bit how some of the damage has been dealt and spread out here throughout some of those enemy ships during the battle. But what I was more concerned with is overall experience earned. So at the end of the day, I do get 3,300 experience. This was not the first battle of the day, so it's not 2 times, or well, 1.5, whatever they want to call it now, and about 270,000 credits when all is said and done. So not too bad of a game, and again, I'm enjoying these French cruisers. Now, on a side note, I'm hoping that you notice that the video quality is a little better. The reason why I'm hoping this is because I just spent a bit of money on a new graphics card. I got a MSI G4 GTX 1080 with 8 gigs of RAM, I think. So I do notice a difference myself playing games, but when the recording software is going, I do have to lower the graphics quality a little just to make sure that I can keep frames per second up ever so slightly. I've been talking to Pootahead actually a little about new computers and whatnot, so I'm hoping throughout the year just to make gradual improvements to my system as I save up money. But anyway, folks, I hope you didn't miss the channel too much, and if you haven't checked it out in a while, I hope you come back, because we're going to get some more videos up, obviously, of ships. So that is the end of the video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Remember to hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.